We're so back. Greetings, fellow true believers. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And Rohith Dar.
And welcome to our SpoilerCast, asterisk, for Thunderbolts, asterisk. All right. So, yeah, Thunderbolts. This is, by all intents and purposes, people are hailing this as one of the best, if not the best movie since Endgame. First of all, I'm in the camp that thinks Infinity War is a lot better than Endgame, so I'll just go ahead and say it's, better than Infinity War, or the best since Infinity War. And second of all, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 still wins out for me, but I still thought this was very good. I still, I wasn't exactly optimistic about this just because based on the trailers, it kind of felt like this is basically just Marvel trying to do Suicide Squad. And at the end of the day, that is kind of just essentially what this is. But you know what? It's a formula that works. I think that the cast brought a lot to the table here. I think the director and writer of this is actually, he managed to bring some of his personal voice into a Marvel project, which is impressive. Mm-hmm. So yeah, all around, I would say top marks for this. I definitely think besides Guardians Volume 3, this is probably my favorite MCU movie since Infinity War. So Dragon, Rohith, who wants to go first here?
Lawyer, go.
Lawyer.
Man, way to boss me around, Dragon. As someone who voluntarily is contributing to the SpoilerCast, you could just ask me, please. But
would you like to not go?
I mean, I would just like to have been asked nicely. But anyway, I think, I don't know if a lot of it's just recency bias or just the way the Thunderbolts movie played out, the way it did. It's not only quote unquote my favorite MCU movie since Endgame. I think it's one of my favorite MCU movies. I think this movie, in terms of its themes, in terms of its humor, in terms of the characters, and it's the way the movie goes about its action, and the final act of it, and the whole culmination, everything that's been built up to that point, it really hit me in a certain place. It feels what I'm looking for in superhero stories, and to a certain extent, and be able to see that, especially in an ensemble with characters that people have mixed opinions on. Certain characters like more than others, but the way it all plays out, it's a movie that should not work on paper, but it does. And I'm really excited to see where these characters go. And I really hope Jake Schreier is being looked at by Marvel, if not for an Avengers movie, X-Men. Like, this guy has passed with flying colors. I really wanted to continue his relationship with Marvel, and as well just his original projects under the 20th Century Fox banner or other places. But yeah.
All right. So I was hyped for Thunderbolts for two reasons. One, I've always loved Jake Schreier, so when I heard he was attached to this, I got really excited because of his work on Kidding. His TV work has always been really good. So when I heard, like, oh my God, he's directing this, I really perked up. Like, okay, already the Thunderbolts is kind of interesting.
Not only is he directing it, but like I said, it's not a director for hire type of deal. He's actually got a personal voice in this one.
Yeah.
And he did Beef,
that's the other exactly. I'm saying his TV work, it's spectacular. So Kidding, and also you're right, Beef is, I think, probably the more popular of what he's.
But Kidding is the better of the two, as much as I like.
I will say that, yes. See, no one ever talks about how great Kidding is. Only
which is crazy because it's like it's a fucking like prestige drama that's high concept starring Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Anyways,
well, it was on Showtime. I mean, like, what do people go on Showtime for besides Dexter?
Yellow Jacket.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Anyway. I know personally, I subscribe to Showtime just for Yellow Jackets. Anyways,
you're like, and then everyone else is there for Dexter Resurrection and.
Oh God. Rohit, I tried like one episode with the prequel show. I just could not do it. Like teenage angsty Deb, I'm just like, no, I can't. Anyways. Okay, Dragon, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Anyway, this is why you just get lawyer as an intro, by the way, because I'm trying to give my opening
Well,
here.
I'm not actually helping either, so
No. Anyway. Okay, secondly, this is always kind of hyped up as the payoff for like all the Phase 4 shenanigans and the films and the Disney Plus stuff. So there's a lot of like anticipation over, okay, we're going to see if it all actually comes together, it all pays off. Now that said, as hyped as I was for this movie, there's one element that did have me deeply concerned. The MacGuffin in question had me concerned because he's a character that historically I really don't like. So that was the big kind of challenge of this film. Are they going to sell me on this character? So overall, I enjoyed the movie. I did not see it in kind of like a big theater. I didn't see it at my usual, like I didn't see it at AMC. So in kind of an off-brand theater, and I gotta be honest, it really has me concerned because my audience, like a general audience, kind of the crowd that I was at when I saw this, they really didn't seem to be into it. There were Thunderbolts, there were MCU fans there. There's a number of them, and there's like day one. But it did really feel like a lot of people. I didn't hear like big cheer moments. I didn't really hear like a lot of. I heard like some speculation. Oh, the post credits and kind of a little bit of that going on. But
my crowd mostly reacted to the Red Guardian stuff.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So the general audience reaction kind of has me thinking, like, man, I really had no idea how this film was going to be received. I mean, I liked it. There are elements I think could have been maybe either a skosh better, or like a lot of this is stemming from maybe how I'm kind of feeling about the MacGuffin. I'm still kind of weighing how I feel about it because while I think it was well handled, I don't think I'm going to be a big fan of this character, at least so far. I mean, it didn't really like sell me. Oh my God, I've changed my tune on this character, but we'll get into it there. I think they handled them the best they could, but it's still, so I'm still iffy on that. And there's some other aspects I'm maybe a little iffy on, but overall I respect what it was going for, and I think it was I think it was a really good palate cleanser. Honestly, that's kind of what I feel. I feel this is like something to kind of get the ball rolling until hopefully, fingers crossed, Fantastic Four just slam dunks it. Like that'll be like the big one that they're gonna need that we've been building
Hopefully.
up for a while.
I'm nervous about Fantastic Four. I hope it lives up to the hype.
I like to think we're building momentum. Okay, we got Daredevil Born Again, admittedly under some iffy circumstances. Do you mind? I'm saying iffy circumstances.
All right, I'm sorry.
I know. I'm aware. None of us are happy about the two visions, all right? Anyway. The point being,
we built this city on rock.
Hey, that's actually one of our favorite moments. We like that moment.
Mayor Garbage.
Mayor of Garbage.
Say your best.
Oh
anyway, my point being,
Matt Murdock.
Yep, blind Matt Murdock.
The point being, there's a momentum build with that, and that's in the conversation. The things are really working about. Thunderbolts seems to be getting a lot of good traction right now, and hopefully that'll lead to everyone and their mother coming to Fantastic Four and walking away very happy and eager to see what's next.
Mm-hmm.
Fingers crossed. So, yeah.
Alrighty, Dragon. I forget how we do SpoilerCast. Do you do background on SpoilerCast?
No. We just saw the movie too. There's no background.
That's what I thought. Okay. All right. So yeah, let's just go ahead and dive into it. Where y'all want to start? Well, I guess should we address the comments first of all?
And we can. I mean, it's our show.
I know one of them you're not really thrilled about, Dragon. Okay, so Ko Gios, he's talking smack about our boy Dragon. He's talking smack about Sebastian Stan.
How dare you talk smack about Tiki's lumpy face boy?
Oh my God. Okay, so you're saying Bucky's mostly been a stick in the mud in the MCU ever since he got brainwashed. Has he finally become interesting, or is he still a grouchy party ruiner? I think Bucky's been interesting since at least like the Infinity War and Endgame movies.
Hey,
Civil War. No, honestly, I mean, it's been a while. Like, he's always been interesting. I'm sorry, Kokias. This is a weird take from you. But I would say objectively, Bucky is definitely better than he is better than Sam Wilson, Teddy. I'll sign off on that. Not in a like white Captain America is better than black Captain America kind of
That's
way.
really John Walker. John Walker is the better than.
I mean, honestly, out of all three of them, I think John Walker might be the most interesting character, honestly. And yes, Kokias, since this is a spoiler cast, Taskmaster, absolutely the new Slipknot, without a doubt.
For better or for worse. Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty much like they pretty much copy and pasted Slipknot's whole story arc. Okay, Teddy's saying, sorry, TK, I don't agree with you at all. I really like Original Sin personally. Teddy, a lot of people do like Original Sin, and maybe I will like power through it one day. I've heard good things about it, but I just cannot get over the whole like, oh, we're basically doing the season 2 flashbacks, but it's a whole series.
I will stick with Michael C. Hall in a bad teenager wig. Thank you very much.
Right, exactly.
Okay, because just why bother doing it again? We already nailed it. Yes,
that's my hang up with it. It's like I see like angsty teenage Deb, but I'm just like I don't need this. I don't need this.
Basically, let's just do it again. We have Harry played by Christian Slater. It's pretty much it's your cell line. That's about it. Anyway,
Kokias says I'm complaining about Bucky Barnes rather than because Sebastian Stan is a national treasure.
Yes.
Anyways.
Have you seen him with Mackie? They're magic.
Pow.
Oh God, Teddy! I think this is some shade at Kokias. Oh no, he's not making bad jokes every second. How can we survive? Shade.
Yep.
And yes, I did notice this, Little Blue. What do y'all think of this? Like, maybe we should start with this, honestly, because it is.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, literally, so I'm not crazy, right? This is like a recent thing where like all the marketing,
all the posters have switched over to the new Avengers. Yes.
It feels. How much of this do you think was like it was the plan all along versus like okay?
I think it was the plan all along. I think as soon as they put that stupid little asterisk next to the title that we all made fun of, that was the plan.
Well, clearly that's why the asterisk was there in the first place. But I'm getting because of the whole like, okay, we're gonna do a title reveal at the end of the movie. But I'm wondering is like, do you think like going as far as to like change all the postering? I mean, is that a marketing stunt or is that them realizing, oh God, in our bid of being clever, we've actually really lowered our earning potential here. So let's fix that as soon as possible.
I honestly don't think
like let's get those week 2 residuals.
This movie made money. It didn't make as much money as Disney was probably hoping for.
It was in line with projections, but I think both can be true.
Yeah, but it didn't like exceed expectations. And I feel like at this point with MCU movies, Disney's kind of at the point where they kind of need it to exceed.
I mean, it is kind of a gamble. Had they marketed as New Avengers, everyone would have shown up.
No, but dude, it's like we're talking like
they didn't need to. I appreciate
characters from like the MCU movie that literally came out during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Characters from like the most forgettable Ant-Man movie. Characters from the the streaming service series that was really good, but maybe not everyone has seen.
Yeah.
And Bob, like Bucky is like the main star power of this crew. Like this crew is I give it a lot of
Florence Pugh, Tiki. Florence Pugh is
Florence Pugh as far as actors, sure, absolutely Florence Pugh. But I'm saying as far as like MCU characters,
Bucky. That's yeah. I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
I think this movie is interesting with the whole reveal of it because the only movie like. I think back to Falcon and Winter Soldier when the title of the end changes to Captain America and the Winter Soldier, but clearly the entire movie or the entire show is Sam as Falcon. He becomes Captain America at the end. I don't know why you have to make the title reveal because for the entirety of the movie they're not the Avengers. They're just kind of a ragtag group that then become the Avengers at the end.
Or Avengers with a Z.
Oh my God.
All right. Of them.
You guys want to just start with that reveal? Like, do we want to start at the ending and kind of work our way backwards almost? Hey, where do we want to go?
I don't know if we want to literally go like completely backwards. We can just
but do you want to start with because I feel like the ending is kind of like a big.
I mean, the audience is kind of pointing at us there, so I guess we kind of.
And in fairness to you guys, Kierkegaard did say, and Bucky did, and this was mentioned in the movie, life can be viewed backwards but live forward. So it's not a good place to start at the ending and go backwards from there.
I think Christopher Nolan would really respect that advice. All right.
One Marvel
Yeah,
movie Christopher
so
Nolan scene.
I don't know about you guys, but the ending really blindsided me. It really did. And honestly, afterwards, I felt stupid about how much it blindsided me because I don't know. And here's the thing: the Contessa character, like I have not really been on board with her all that much until this movie. This movie, I kind of feel like we didn't get to see enough of her. We just kind of saw her in bits and pieces up until this. And I feel like this movie, with her being the main villain, with her pulling the shit that she pulls right at the beginning of this movie, which I'm sure we'll get into.
Yeah.
And then that ending, like, I don't know, man. She's quickly gone from like, okay, like I see what Marvel's trying to do with this character, but it's not really working for me, to, oh, holy shit, this woman is a power player.
Dude, righteousness without power is just an opinion. What a banger line. What a
yeah, totally. So yeah, I was very impressed with just the logistics of her plan throughout the movie and getting them to that point. I think Florence Pugh's line at the end of like, okay, this is the situation, but we own you now. Like, that's perfect. Like, I don't know. For me, it was honestly, like, I don't want to say, again, I feel like the Guardians of the Galaxy movies are kind of like their own beast within the MCU. Mm-hmm. I would say, like, outside of the Guardians endings, which I think all three of those movies have just freaking immaculate, flawless endings, this might be one of my favorites in the entire MCU. It really might be. I love the shock value of it, but I also love how it comes together as, like, you know, the Contessa's plan is, like, really solidified right at the end there. Teddy, I'll get to your comment as soon as we break this down. I'm not trying to ignore you, man. What do you guys think?
So Val is very Amanda Waller in nature, and that's, I think, where the biggest Suicide Squad comparison comes from. And that, you know, it's very much, you know, like the, you know, kind of our government liaison, kind of boss lady who ultimately is more monstrous than, you know, the thing we're going up against to a degree. So it's very cruel that, if you think about it, what we've been building up with her, she's invested in each of these reclamation projects of, like, basically kind of our washouts and our unwanteds and our kind of, again, our anti-heroes. And she's like her. We saw her approach each of them like John Walker, and she was so quick to dispose of them. And just, it's like you can tell she's looking. So I love that her plan. So the ending of this movie is kind of what I thought the initial premise was going to be.
Right.
You know, and that I thought she was going to, basically, she was going to, like, try selling these guys as the new super team. Now, whether we're going to call them New Avengers or not, I wasn't. My thought was that maybe Thunderbolts 2 Dark Avengers, potentially. I wasn't thinking like the New Avengers, which, I mean, it's a way to go, and that's fine.
I mean, if we're thinking about actual marketing, potentially, I think Dark Avengers, it works as a movie poster. It doesn't work for, like, a superhero team name.
Here are the Dark Avengers. Arguing they're tired, not in their MO.
Oh, God.
The point being, her, like, basically spinning these guys as the Avengers replacement, that makes a lot of sense. So, like, but again, subverting that with, like, how the movie opens and actually paying it off and then kind of giving, like, a big title to, okay, she's really doubling down on this. That was, that was impressive. So ultimately, she's looking for heroes, but she wants, it's like, she doesn't believe in self-improvement in these guys. Like, she's, like, instilled the false belief in them that, you guys can be heroes, and that's kind of what she's used to kind of get them to be Black Ops for and help her pursue her vision with the whole Sentry Project thing. And, like, she keeps saying, I'm going to give these failed heroes a second chance, and she only does it really reluctantly after her main plan is just kind of failed, tremendously. So it's just like she's used the talents to facilitate, the career goal of, like, one flawless hero. But again, ultimately it's a bunch of flawed heroes that kind of contribute to that.
She's, like, just quoting the David Bowie song, like, don't worry, guys, you guys can be heroes. Just for a day, but still heroes. All right. I am going to go ahead and get some comments going here just so they don't get too backed up. Kogias says, I never thought Black Widow was an interesting character in the MCU, so if Yelena takes her place, I would accept that. Teddy says he agrees with Kogias. Honestly, like, I don't necessarily blame Scarlett Johansson for this at all, but I do think that Black Widow had the unfortunate case of kind of being tied to some of the more awkward storytelling like things that the MCU has done. So for example, like the way she's introduced is first of all very like, you know, late 2000s, like, hey, we got a sexy lady.
Oh yeah, she's introduced as eye candy, not just eye candy. She's introduced as like world building eye candy that was like the contributing problem of Iron Man 2.
Exactly. So she was a contributing problem of Iron Man 2. Yeah. I honestly think I really, really don't like her romance with Bruce Banner in Age of Ultron. That, to me, like, is one of the weak points of that movie.
I don't think it's a bad concept, but we didn't do anything with it.
We just saw the whole, like, hey, the sun's getting real low, and that was about it. And then after that, like, I do really like what we did with her in the Infinity Saga in those two Avengers movies. I think her role in Infinity War and then her death in Endgame was very compelling. I think that's kind of the height of her character. Obviously, Winter Soldier too. Obviously, that was a big that was her.
Basically, when the Russos were handling Black Widow, she was at her best.
Yeah. But then her movie, like, it's that awkward thing where it's like, not only did it get released smack dab in the middle of the pandemic, but it's like, yeah, let's do a movie that very much should have come out in between Civil War and Endgame, but, you know, have it come out like after Endgame. So, like, I don't think it's Florence Pugh's fault, or I'm sorry, not fault. I don't think it's Scarlett Johansson's fault at all, but I do think that the writing on the original Black Widow and just the story beats that they decided to do with her were consistently kind of awkward. And I do think that Florence Pugh, in the couple times that we've seen her, has kind of like,
she has the advantage.
Reigns very well.
Yeah.
All right. So Teddy, he wanted us to get to this comment. He said, I really want Avengers Doomsday to start with the new Avengers group to just go, okay, guys, you had your fun, but like Doomsday is coming. Take a back seat. You can help, but we need big hitters. That'd be funny. That'd be funny if we're like queuing up this team to like be the big new Avengers and we basically just write them off as a gag.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's exactly what's happening.
Like a more self-aware version of the way that we use the Guardians of the Galaxy in Love and Thunder.
Kind of, yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that trope has been like beaten to death. Like how many movies have you had like a team that's like, oh, badass and cool, and then gets wiped out? You know.
I mean, twice that I can think of between Deadpool 2 and then the Guardians of the Galaxy.
I mean, look, I think the big takeaway with the new Avengers and all that really seems to be that it's a call out for like not knowing what we're doing with Phase 4. Now, the Avengers have disbanded. We never really properly talked about it at all during Phase 4 and 5, and this movie actually calls
Except for like a little bit of lip service in Brave New World.
But that's what I mean, though. It's like we're building the Avengers. That's what I'm saying. And then that falls apart, and that's why Val has the opportunity here because, you know, the president turned to a Red Hulk, and then the other guy's like not on good terms with the president, so we can't really officially get the team together because Sam's been dragging his feet this whole time. It's the problem. We have not been getting an Avengers team together, and it created this power vacuum that has been filled. And I feel like Doomsday is going to basically be a call out of that at the top about like, you know, look, you let the world, you know, they're going to have to address the new Avengers. Like, look, this is, we're the only ones that had the sense to actually say maybe we should, you know, like it or not, we got to unite. But people need something to believe in, and then, you know, I think it's going to be disbanded as soon as, or not disbanded, but we're just going to like then. It's going to be a call out to Sam to then rally the troops in a way, I guess is what I'm getting at. It's going to be like the call out to him. And
all I know that I need in Doomsday is I need Red Guardian and the Winter Soldier actively working together. That's all that I need as far as this crew.
It was the standout and a wonderful payoff to that What If episode.
Oh, totally. Okay, we have a familiar face here, the unforgettable John Kelling.
Who?
Oh God. just pure deep Jamon Hansu. Who? He says, can I be honest? I'm unironically upset about Taskmaster because she didn't deserve any of this. She could have been one of those funny, quiet characters. Like she tries being friendly, but ends up creeping people out because of her inexperience with socializing due to decades of mind control. And also, people have been throwing out some comments about the Doomsday cast. If we have time to speculate when the discussion of the movie's done, we'll circle back to that. But I kind of want to focus on the movie at hand here. So,
something I hit with the movie is real quick before we break down Taskmaster.
Uh-huh.
Just overall, I do think it really helps this movie that it's a very self-contained, very straightforward premise. Val has basically, set the
basically just like escape the Act 1 is escape the warehouse, Act 2 is the car chase, and then Act 3 is the Sentry stuff. Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah, I mean that's in a nutshell. It's that's what I'm saying. It's just very much like, we don't need again. The MCU really struggled with this in Phase 4, and I think they finally kind of cracked the code. And this is kind of what the promise was with, like, okay, we're going to be able to have the Disney Plus shows to provide, context to what we see in the movie. So it won't actually, it won't. And basically, Doctor Strange. We always cite this example. Multiverse of Madness kind of failed at this, unfortunately, where it was like you absolutely needed WandaVision, or else you're going to be really lost on, what's going on with Scarlet Witch.
Mm-hmm.
But here, I mean, again, like. We have like a little thing where John Walker's going on his phone, so we kind of summarize. Okay, there's the specifics about what happened, but
I feel like definitely watching Falcon and Winter Soldier would very much help, but I don't think I don't think you absolutely need to.
No, I think we sum things up, and with the whole escape in the room plot line, we sum things up. We have the meet cute, we can learn everything we need to know about these characters. It works pretty solidly, and at the very least, it works better than they've been trying to do it in the other films.
But part of it, I think, is because we get the exposition of the characters' backgrounds, but it's done in a way where it's like the exposition is used to just like basically shit on these characters and their flaws. Which works.
Honestly, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Which works because the whole point is that these people are essentially quote unquote losers, and so highlighting like where their
we've lost people.
Yes. And
stands in a circle.
No, and so because of that, the way the exposition is delivered, it's like, okay, you're learning these characters, and you get a sense of their personalities and like vibes without having to just say, oh, you did this. It's basically, instead of just telling us the plot of the prior entries, it's you're characterizing these characters' past and histories, and then that sets the beginning of their arcs to resolve it the way they did, which I think that's really good writing, because sometimes that's the thing. I think for Marvel, they've now got the idea where if you bring these characters, you can't just basically talk about their past like a Wikipedia entry. You got to like have their past inform their character, and it works to disadvantage for these characters because they're defined by their past. They're defined by their losses and failure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Honestly, I feel like the one character where it's like, I think he works well enough just because he doesn't really he has enough to do in this movie, but he's not like the main focus. But I kind of feel like with Bucky, there's probably a little bit too much catch up to do. Like, wait, what is the Winter Soldier? What is the deal with this guy's arm? Okay, well, what is his connection to this fake Captain America?
Considering we're in like phase, I think you can assume. Okay, at least they've seen one of these movies that features the Winter Soldier, in which we cover.
Right. I mean, Bucky Barnes has been here literally since like movie movie 4.
Well, since first Captain America movie, yeah.
So that's movie 4, yeah.
He's been in the MCU since 2011. So,
so I think it's the reason at least someone's seen him pop up at least one time.
Right.
I mean, like Sebastian Stan Bucky has been in 3 of the most profitable, the most highest-grossing of the MCU movies with Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame. So
it's like Sebastian Stan just comes out of a helicarrier and he's like, "Hey guys, it's me, Bucky Barnes. You might not have recognized me because of my metal arm."
My new vibranium metal arm. Look at this. He just takes it off. He's waving it around. Look at it. I could even put it in the dishwasher. Ooh.
Dude, the dishwasher gag is so simple, but it's so effective.
I thought when he was eating the food, it was like, oh, he's eating pizza. And it's like, why is it dripping out the way it is? And it's like, oh, it's a coney. It's a hot dog. That looks like a lot of them. It's like, oh. And it was basically like a callback to Coney hot dog. So that was a next.
And he's the congressman of Brooklyn. So, there's.
Now that is one of those things where my dad has not seen New World Order or Brave New World yet, so I kind of had to explain to. I kind of just lean into him like, yeah, the new Captain America. He's a congressman now.
I imagine how bad you feel for anyone that's like, oh, we're getting like jazzed up for our campaign, and then Bucky enters the race, and it's like, fuck, we've just lost half our voter to this guy.
Look at all these stands.
Oh God.
Dude, think of like with how many people reacted like feral animals to Sebastian Stan's haircut in the post credit scene. I will say his hair is probably the best I've seen of his hair in MCU. He's got like lion locks, man. Props to the makeup and hairstyle, but that's neither here nor there.
Okay, anyway, so the meta, I guess to break down the team a little bit, because I think,
hold on, really quick. I love this. John Kelling points out this is awesome. Even on the soundtrack list, the track where he shows up on the motorcycle is titled "It's Bucky." That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, go ahead, Dragon. I'm sorry.
Okay, just to break down the team a little bit here. So the meta way, well, in general, I love the fact they were all the meet cute in question. I love that just Val, basically tricked them all into going there under the different Black Ops missions to kill each other, and that's kind of how they meet each other.
I figured that they'd be set up to go all go kill each other. It's the whole like she's basically sending all of them to the incinerator.
Yeah,
that part kind of surprised me. I was like, oh, that's cold, man.
Yeah, Val's watched too much Toy Story 3.
Oh God! Well, Dragon, I actually just got done reading Mouse, the graphic novel Mouse.
Yeah.
So yeah, my mind went to a darker example than that.
Why are you reading Mouse?
It was for a book club.
Okay.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, but yeah, it's obviously like for the times, it's obviously it shook me a little for the times, anyways.
I mean, I hope it, because if not, then
then I would my media literacy would be pretty bad. Yeah.
Or you just can't feel anything at that point. Damn.
All right. That's exactly.
Yeah, it's just an endless void, one could say, with this guy.
All right. Anyways.
Anyway, so the meta way in which we axe Taskmaster. So it's basically just it's just kind of a fun adjustment of like, yeah, no one.
Yeah, this character sucks. We know they suck. We might bring the concept of the character back later, but it's
the carryover from Black Widow that no one liked, and they all know it. And it's basically like, okay, it's a bait and switch. It's like, okay, we need to show stakes so people could die. We're going to take the character that people collectively like least, and they're going to gripe about most on the internet. My hope is that the name and the costume carries over in a perfect world.
I would be surprised if it didn't. I think the character itself is too popular. Yeah, I feel like we're kind of looking at a little bit of a Mandarin situation here.
Well, yeah, in a perfect world, I'd like to think in Deadpool or even Spider-Man, but I know Deadpool's not necessarily going to get like, there's a lot of talks right now. Let's just say I don't think we're going to get like a full-on like Deadpool movie. It's going to be Deadpool paired with people going forward, but in a perfect movie, a Deadpool and a Spider-Man movie. Let's just say Deadpool going up against Taskmaster has been something that was speculated ever since the first Deadpool movie, and he's very early in the Joe Kelly Deadpool comic. It would be really.
I'm sure you agree with me here, but all I want is just like a live-action adaptation of Wolverine versus Hulk. Like for me, that would be the perfect sequel to Deadpool and Wolverine.
Well, I would love to see it. Maybe even as a one-shot, if just for budgetary.
Oh, a one-shot. That would be a good way to use a one-shot.
I didn't think about it. Hulk versus Wolverine was a short anyway. Why not just do it?
Right.
Make it like a little longer. But
here's you can't handle that. That's too much. No, in regards to Taskmaster, I was reading the interview with Eric Pearson, who was the screenwriter for Black Widow and did some stuff for this movie.
Tell him what the original plan was.
The original plan was to have Taskmaster stay alive in the movie, and that she would actually have like a sister bond with Ghost, and she would have like sort of the drama of her having memory issues, which you debate both comedically and dramatically.
Like she's trying to kill John Walker like randomly, even though she's like, oh yeah, I forgot we're on the same team now.
Which I think would work, but I think there was a point made. I don't know if it was Eric Pierce or someone else. It was like her memory issues was kind of stuff that like Bob had to be kind of repeating.
Right.
And I do appreciate you. We get to see Olga Kurylenko's face. It's like, oh, it wasn't just like a body double there. I mean, even though it was probably just barely a day shoot for her. For me, if there's one tiny flaw, I feel like Yelena should have had a little bit more of beef with Ghost, with her killing like Taskmaster, because considering what like one of the issues you had with the Black Widow movie, there was some level of themes about like being weaponized, take advantage of especially young girls, and Antonia like was as much
Right.
as like Natasha and Yelena, and so I really would have been interesting for Yelena to have that kind of maybe like considering like the beef that like John has with Bob. I would have liked to see that same energy from Yelena to Ghost, and especially considering the fact that like Ghost herself was like a young girl that was victimized and weaponized.
Okay, I definitely hear what you're saying there, and it makes sense. I think the reason they didn't go that direction probably is just like John Walker is basically just being a dick to Bob, right? Like, and we can play that in a lighthearted way. But with Yelena, I kind of feel like if we were to address all the trauma associated with Taskmaster, it's a tone thing. It would just kind of bring the mood down.
With Taskmaster, just two things I want to throw in there. For the brief time we did see Taskmaster, I really did like the fanboy me. I love that we used the Udon look on Taskmaster, which I really, if we're gonna bring her back, it was like, oh man, at least we gave her like the look from my favorite run of Deadpool. Like she had like the same exact the skull looking mask with like the little beady eyes, and I loved it. But again, it does serve that we really we really didn't do a lot with Ghost in this movie. Ghost, we just didn't really, we had like a little throwaway line. Oh yeah, I got that. I got childhood issues too.
I mean, I've heard people say that. My whole thing with Ghost is that like I feel like at the very least she's got more of a screen presence than she did in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I also feel like she's not a character that pops off the screen, but like in this crew, I don't think she's meant to. I think she's specifically meant to be the straight man. So it's like I feel like they did just enough with her to have her not feel like a blank slate like she was in Ant-Man and the Wasp. But yeah, I mean they could have done more with her, but
I'm not disappointed with Ghost. Ghost, at the end of the day, Ghost is mostly an aesthetic character, and that's essentially what we did here. Basically, it's a cool power set. We established the suit is kind of better. She's better stabilized with the new suit that she has. I think the impression is that the affliction. Here's the thing I would have liked to dig into just a little bit more, is that the affliction probably alienates her from having a normal life, which is why the only thing she really has is she basically has to wear this suit, which is only really used for her skill set, for like day-to-day stuff, like having a normal life. And she's got no family. She's very flighty, as we establish, and I wish we addressed the Bill Foster of it all, because that was like the only family that she had. But it's very. I forget if Bill. I don't think Bill Foster got a throwaway line. I think it was just a very brief mention of like the origin.
Again, we're juggling a lot of tones. We're juggling a lot of characters and backstories here. So,
I mean, I get it though. It wasn't necessity. I'm just saying you kind of notice it when we're like really streamlining things to keep the movie moving along. He said, Ghost. We didn't need a lot with Ghost, but it just kind of. It's noticeable.
John Kelling says Ghost was kind of the MVP of the team. She was probably the most well-rounded character, aside from maybe Bucky. Mostly had her shit together. Yeah, like I said, I feel like she's specifically like I was honestly she's one of those characters where it's like after Ant-Man and the Wasp, I would have honestly bet money that we were never going to see her again, because that movie is just such a nothing burger, frankly. I mean, honestly, that I love Walton Goggins. That was one of the first things that I recognized Walton Goggins from, besides like the Hateful Eight. But but I don't know. So I feel like what they did with Ghost in this movie, like she was never going to be like the most animated character. Like you can't make Ghost into like a scene stealer the same way you can like a Red Guardian or a John Walker, So I feel like she plays the straight man pretty well.
She's the Gamora of the Thunderbolts.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. What do you think, John Kelling? Or God, I'm sorry, Jesus Christ. What do you think, Rohith? I'm sorry.
Man, he confused me with.
Well, his name keeps popping up in the chat. I'm sorry. What do you think, John Kelling? Jesus Christ, that was bad.
Oh, man. Oh man. But anyway, I think for what Ghost does, I think she does play her part. I think the best use of her in this movie is just her gambit with John Walker. If there's anyone that just like calls him out of shit, I think she does the best at
Yeah.
that.
Agreed.
Also, to comment on hairstyle, her and Bucky just like have great hairstylists in that post-credit scene. My goodness.
I mean, speaking of like her and Bucky, again, the thing that was always underrated about Ghost in Ant-Man and the Wasp that we don't really dig into here, but again, we don't really need to. But I like that it's still kind of looming there. Is that again, Ghost has she was like a special operative, like Winter Soldier. She was basically
Right.
of like kept by S.H.I.E.L.D., which obviously was also
Which is why I think she works so well in this particular crew, because this crew is basically like all like special ops people.
So that's yeah. Also, Bill Foster's still alive, I'm pretty sure. So
yeah.
Another question. There's no reason to suggest that he's dead, but I don't know.
I'm not like the biggest fan of the Mission Impossible movies outside of Fallout, but I gotta say, seeing like all the big emotional moments with Lawrence Fishburne in the trailer for The Final Reckoning, I'm kind of getting hyped. He's one of the big selling points of that movie for me.
Wait, Lawrence Fishburne is in the newest Mission Impossible?
Tiki, are you tell me you're
not mixing him up with? Like,
oh my god!
Man.
Oh man, that's embarrassing. Tiki,
man.
come on.
Oh man.
You mean Ving Rhames, don't you?
Yeah, they're very similar.
Yeah, sure. I bet they are. Tiki.
Not just
not are more similar than Ving Rhames.
No, that character. Okay, I'm going to defend myself here. That character has very similar vibes to a Lawrence Fishburne.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he did. Bullshit.
He does not.
Oh man,
I think he absolutely does have that kind of vibe, but okay. I digress. I'm sorry. Jesus Christ.
Anyway.
Now I just wanted to see like Ving Rhames play Morpheus in a minute or something.
This is like one of my first podcasts back after I fucking dropped the ball and fell asleep on Laser Dude. And this is not a good start. This is not a good omen. Between the John Kelling thing and that, Jesus Christ, I'm so sorry. That was embarrassing.
That's cool.
All right. Okay, let's see. So,
I was. yeah.
So I'm reading the last comment from John Kelling, but you can.
It's all good. I deserve it.
All right. Let's see. Okay, so again, Yelena, we're kind of checking in with her after she's kind of gotten a lot of the misdirected kind of vengeance out of her system after Hawkeye. So she's very much like the grieving sister. She's feeling alone. Red Guardian's kind of ghosted her for about a year since they've seen each other, and she's in. I like to think of it that she's inherited. She's inherited the dilemma that her sister had, where she had all that red in her ledger and basically is on the path of becoming a hero like Natasha was with the Avengers. And that's essentially what she wants for herself. She wants to be like, kind of more of a face than like a shadow in the dark. She wants to, which ultimately she's rewarded with by the end of this movie. So it's really kind of a nice arc for her.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. U.S. agent. So
if I had it really quick, if I had a nitpick about Yelena, and this isn't really that big of a deal, but like, it's kind of like a general thing with modern movies for me is like, if we start the movie with like a bunch of narration of like, this is my life, this is what I'm doing up until this point, blah blah blah. It doesn't necessarily make me check out in the moment, but it's a little bit of an obstacle as far as like a rewatch goes. I always feel like that sort of like narration exposition dump like makes me like whenever I rewatch something that has something like that at the start, I kind of just have to like power through the exposition to get to the actual like movie. So I like the character building stuff with Yelena. I kind of wish we would have it would have been a little bit show don't tell. I feel like we could have gotten most of what we need to get from those scenes without the narration, but that's just a nitpick.
Yeah, I get what you mean, Tiki. I don't personally mind the voiceover, but I think, like you said,
I don't think it drags on for too long. I think movies where it's like Ready Player One, for example, is the one that I always think of where, holy shit, that voiceover, it feels like it lasts like half the fucking movie.
No, I think there could have been a more visually interesting way of displaying kind of what Elena's going through with like a montage or and like a few minutes kind of seeing like instead of just that one mission, just going on multiple missions or whatever. But I think with the way the movie starts, it serves as a pretty good bookend with how the movie ends. And it, for all intents and purposes, Thunderbolts, like it's Yelena's movie. Like Yelena is basically like the main
Yeah,
character.
definitely. That's a good point for sure.
Yeah.
All right, John Walker. So he's taken the failed Captain America.
My friend
thing
Johnny
hard.
Walker.
Yes. So basically, I love that he's basically, he's swept up, and we can kind of track this with him too, where he's very he pays a lot of attention to like the social media response to everything that's happened with him, and just the kind of general perception of the MCU.
He's like me the second that I make an off-color joke in my stand-up career.
You mean like that bit where you confuse Lawrence Fishburne for Ving Rhames?
Yeah, basically.
Right.
Yeah, that's going to be me for the next week, just checking the comments on this video. It's like, oh, God.
You think we look alike? There's someone...
I want to say...
You see sunglasses... So anyone who's wearing sunglasses just looks like Lawrence Fishburne.
I still think that Ving Rhames just has.
I will say, as a bit of a
in those movies, not in other movies, but in those movies,
Fishburne wishes he was in the shape of Ving Rhames. He really does.
I mean
Lawrence Fishburne ain't that let go. I will say, what's funny when he's making that confusion, Tiki, is that Lawrence Fishburne, he plays the grandpa in Blackish, and his attire is very like Ving Rhames Mission Impossible attire. Mm-hmm. But so it's kind of funny you made that confusion there. But
I don't know. I just think like whatever. Let's drop
anyway.
it.
We'll let it.
So yeah, basically, in response to like all the online criticism, which also in real life, the character did garner a lot of people just now realize, guys, the whole point of the story is he's not Captain America. We know he's not going to end up being Captain America, and just everyone's getting into it. So the idea here is that the end result is after everything, he's become a crankier, U.S. agent than we're used to. It feels like he's very much kind of he's kind of become the more like the kind of the crankier version of U.S. Agent. I think in the comics he's probably more in a line with. So we've really much progressed his arc to being kind of like, again, the more aggressive kind of Captain America of sorts, which we saw the origin of in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
And his fatal flaw has always been his ego, and that you going back to, there was always that moment in Falcon and Winter Soldier where some guy like spit in his face and that really like incensed him. That was before he got the serum. And it was just this idea that even if Johnny, and a lot of people, everyone's always getting into a thing where John Walker wasn't in the wrong. He was we did him dirty, or like he was bad, he wasn't bad. It's the end of the day, John Walker, even if he wasn't a bad guy, he earned and earned a shot. It's just he expected respect and gratitude, and he let Captain America's legacy get to his head without fully grasping what it meant to be Captain America, what really goes into being Captain America. And, it's...
Which, in that respect, I think to Tiki's point, that makes him really an interesting person to deal with that kind of mantle and where he goes from there. And I think with what they do with his character, especially with the revelation about him being divorced and this kid taken away from him, John's
I love that even in the brief glimpse we had of his regret over fatherhood, we saw in that scene, if you look at it, it's that yes, he's distracted, he's looking on the phone, and he could have been a lot nicer to his wife, and not wife or girlfriend.
I honestly think the problem is more how he reacts to his wife, more so than like, I think every I'm obviously not a parent, but I think every parent can agree, like, as long as you're in the room,
he's in the room,
he's right there. Nothing's gonna, if anything were to happen, he'd see it.
I mean, John's kind of right that, he's fine. He's right there. I mean, so he hasn't really done anything wrong, but he's just,
But the point that's, I think, being made broadly is not that he's necessarily a neglectful parent. I think it's more like he's just not present. Like the fact that he's focusing on like how he's
his past,
he's
shortcomings.
Yeah, he's prioritizing sort of his image rather than prioritizing the fact that, like, hey, like that's I think if John maybe had found more purpose or more focus towards just being a good dad and a good husband, like, you know, not to say he can't feel any kind of way about his legacies as like the failed Captain America, but
he can't let it go.
Yeah, and that's kind of, you know, sort of same respect to like Walter White. Like, these are characters that could have had better lives for themselves, but their ego and pride gets the better of them.
It's also like, again, John Walker very much the a-hole version that is in line with a lot of versions of U.S. Agent, and it's just the idea that if a lot of people have, I think it was talked about a lot during Falcon Winter Soldier. I think in general, a lot of people made the comparison. You know, so Sam Wilson is like Steve Rogers is like the American ideal. He's like the optimistic American ideal in terms of, like, this is what, you know, America should be. Maybe not, it always isn't. And then, like, you have like the reality of like Sam Wilson is kind of also in line with like what America could, maybe it's what America could be versus should be.
Yeah.
And then you have Bucky, who is basically like the realities of this is kind of what America is. And then John Walker is kind of more, this is America now. This is America today.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of like it's kind of the treasure where, yeah, we're not as warm and cuddly as we may have tried to advertise ourselves back in the day, back in more naive times. You know, it's like we're at a point now we just don't care. Totally. That's kind of where Walker is. So on the flip side of that, Red Guardian.
Red Guardian, I mean, it's like, what do you want me to say? He's the scene stealer of this movie. I mean,
I'm such a sucker for Red Guardian.
I'm going to go on record and say that, like, when the trailer came out, like, and we see that extended thing of, like, when Yelena shows up and he's like, oh, yeah, so fulfilled. I'm like, okay, like David Harbour's just kind of doing his, like, Yakov Smirnoff shtick. And, like, honestly, no, there's a lot more to this character. I think what makes this character work is the fact that he is obviously very entertaining and boisterous, but it's so obvious that, like, the big persona is a mask for his insecurities. And I think that's what makes him really work as a character. By the way, Dragon, I hope you saw that clip that I sent you of Red Guardian at Avengers Campus.
I did.
Isn't it delightful?
It is. It's great.
All right.
So that's it. He's always a lot of fun, but you're right, though. It is masking kind of like the sadness of this character, where, again, it's like he's the more optimistic version of John Walker to a degree, in terms of he too is kind of like, he's kind of the Captain America who fell short. But again, no, he didn't like completely fail, but he is very much, he's kind of a washed out, he's kind of a washed out cat. Yeah, they're right, has been. That's it, exactly. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's I absolutely loved getting like that brief little glimpse of the Red Guardian parade, like a little glimpse of this.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm with you.
And you see, and we've seen like the action figure in Black Widow. We see like the posters in the background, kind of the younger. Thinner,
honestly, if they could figure out the de-aging technology, I would be totally down to have like a one-shot like Red Guardian adventure in that time period.
And that's the thing. I'm so down for that too. And we did get kind of a glimpse of what that might look like with, you know, the What If episode of like, this is what kind of Red Guardian looked like in his heyday, which I'm so down for. Mm-hmm. I still wish Red Guardian could get his shield back, frankly. That still bums me out that we have not gotten his shield in live action yet.
That's true.
But you know, it's like he's very much, Red Guardian feels like kind of the heart of the movie, in that he represents, you know, he wants recognition, he wants to be a hero, because, you know, it's he wants it for the glory, but also he enjoyed saving people, but being kind of lauded as like, you're a good person. So, and you can't help but like not feel sympathy for that guy. So he kind of, again, in a sense, this guy's always viewed Captain America as his contemporary. He does kind of embody that. Again, there is a bit of ego in there in terms that he wants to be loved, but still he wants to be loved in doing good for the country.
He doesn't want to be loved in this social media age. Dragon, I ask you.
Yeah, so but he wants to be loved, and he also wants to do right by his nation. In this case, just by the broader, he wants to do right by people. So you gotta respect.
No higher calling is as Alexi would say.
Yeah.
Totally.
I love, by the way, the running gag in superhero movies at this point, where it's like, so he's doing like the freelance limo service, the Red Guardian limo.
Oh my god, the limo service thing got me. Yeah,
it feels
you're right.
like
We have seen stuff like that before, but
the washed-up hero trope with Logan of just like, yeah, Logan started like when you
you know what made that even more amusing for me is the fact that like I've heard a lot of hype about the car chase in the middle of the movie, and I'm like, oh boy, that's how we're gonna get the car chase.
I love, by the way, the car chase is like 50 miles an hour. It can only go that fast.
Note this, gentlemen. Red Guardian limo service protecting you from a boring evening.
Yes.
Accomplished.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Plus, he had all the. I love that he had all the buttons inside, like the limo and like the smoke machine and everything.
Totally. Oh my god, the fog machine. That's great.
Pony, genuine pony playing in the limo. That was a nice touch.
I just love it like that. Who are you driving?
You don't want to know.
So again, with Red Guardian in general, like, it's also really, I think, a big endearing thing with this character. He really does, he loves his daughter. He loves Yelena, and I love that he's like the overbearing father. Like, when he shows up in the movie, Yelena
there's something so heartwarming to me about the actual like meaning of the name Thunderbolts being Yelena's soccer team. Like, there's something just so wholesome about that. I don't know.
How do you feel about the soccer name, Rohith?
I think it's a nice touch, and I think with the way this movie ends, like this is not supposed to be a Thunderbolts team like that's going to have adventures as the Thunderbolts. So with this movie being so completely divergent, like I appreciate the Thunderbolts being kind of again with Yelena being the lead character in the movie. It makes sense for the name to come from something special and really important in her life. So,
and remember, she really loved like the incognito years in the Black Widow family.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was certainly better than the Red Room years, as we saw.
Oh God, yes. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. If memory serves, I think those came right before the Red Room years. So yeah.
Yeah.
So we have the soccer team name and everything. But I love when he shows up. She just looks so embarrassed. It's like, oh no, just it's like, Yelena, don't go. There's an incinerator. Don't go there. Right after they just
Florence Pugh plays like the being embarrassed about your parent thing so well.
So he also
I would play a drinking game of this movie where every time Florence Pugh is just like defeatingly says like, "Oh my god,"
or take a full bottle whenever Red Guardian yells.
Well, that you'd just be dead at that point.
Well, yeah, that's alcohol poisoning, my friend.
Glory,
maybe a shot every time Red Guardian yells, but a full bottle.
You got some demons in that bottle, don't you? If you're doing a drinking game like that, you want to forget easy.
It's drinking the Russian way, my friend.
Oh, yep. Well, that's
if you having the kids drink the vodka at the table, that's the Russian way. No joke, possibly a real thing.
Right.
Anyway, so but yes, I love the rally.
Case, I love how he just takes the swig of vodka and then uses it as a Molotov cocktail,
which is completely ineffectual because they're going at such a high speed.
Right.
Right up. So I love that he rallies them into the heroic kind of plot at hand here. We're going to stop Val and we're going to save Bob. I haven't even met Bob. We're going to save Bob.
Yeah, we should probably talk about Bob.
What about Bob, Tiki?
I mean, it's interesting, Dragon, because I assume he's the character you're talking about as far as
Yeah.
I mean, I was worried about him in the trailer, and honestly, I knew nothing about Sentry. I didn't even I heard the name Sentry floating around with this movie. I didn't even know that it was going to be Bob. That's how little I knew about Sentry. I honestly kind of think that maybe we played up. If I had one nitpick about him, I kind of feel like there was a little bit too much of Florence Pugh is very sympathetic towards him. That's not a bad plot beat. I just kind of feel like we repeated that plot beat a couple times and it got a little bit repetitive. But I mean, I guess we have to build that up for the ending. But honestly, though, I think Sentry, Dragon, I don't know how you feel about Sentry. I think Sentry was fucking awesome in this movie. In the one scene that we really saw him in action. To me, the biggest reaction that I got in the whole movie is when Sentry breaks John Walker's shield. Like, he folds it like a taco. Like, that gave me a visceral, like, oh my God, in the theater. You know?
I will say that with the taco shield, it's still ridiculous that 15 months later, he's still working with the taco shield. There's like there are 3 super soldiers on that team. You mean to tell me the 3 of them can't bend it back the way it's supposed to go? Or hey, maybe Val buys him a new shield.
I mean, all of them needed to like push back against like this piece of a column, right? So they're not like individually, they're not that strong. Together, they're strong.
So I mean, I don't know. Like with Sentry, like, I really, really like the fact that he was able to, like, I know it's not exactly Thanos snapping, but, like, it was a little bit of a Thanos snap-esque. I like the effect of, like,
you just like kicking everyone's ass. That's basically getting at.
So with the stuff with the Void and the effect you're talking about, Tiki, Initially, I was really impressed with it. Just the idea that, okay, in Val's attempts to create basically a singular Avenger powerhouse, or basically, presumably, like, with the approval of one, which might have, like...
I kind of feel like he's essentially, like, what Adam... He's very Adam Warlock.
Yeah, absolutely. He is the far more... Again, remember, Adam Warlock was brought out early. That's why, you know, had he been fully gestated, who knows?
That's why he came out as Will Poulter.
Yeah, exactly. So... with the effect, it feels like Val's attempts to create, like, you know, either one singular Avenger or maybe like the prototype for maybe a whole team of those guys. I love the idea that she
exists in the MCU, and she's like, I want that.
Yeah. So I love in the attempts to create that. You know, she ended up basically creating another Thanos who can blip at will. So that's a great idea to me, that they kind of went so wrong. But then we kind of bring everyone back, which I'm glad we brought everyone back. And it's the same effect as Thanos, because we did ultimately bring everyone back. It only took, like, you know, 5 years, but still. I'm just saying, so with the effect, you're right. It is the way we do it. Like, they just get blotted out of existence. It is the big moment is when Red Guardian saves the little girl. Which, you know me, I love when our heroes save people. And Red Guardian, it's a big moment of redemption for him, where he gets to be a hero again. He saves the little girl, and the moment that happens, we take her away. Like, that's a really effective moment. That's a Jake Schreier.
Yeah,
right, totally. That's a kidding moment right there. I love that. But so just with Bob in general with the Sentry. So look. The big hurdle of the movie for me, I've never liked the Sentry. He's very the character is very traditionally, the character is very convoluted. He's very overpowered. It's Superman with a mental instability. You know, he rips people in half as like his signature move. He's just not super heroic to me. He's got a cool costume. I will never take that away from him. He's got a really cool costume and a cool logo. I like that. Yes. But it's just, I went into this with an open mind. I really did. I wanted to give him a fair shake, and again, bring him to the MCU was a thing. Like, in a million years, I never thought the Sentry would make it to the MCU, and we're finally at that point now where we finally adapted this character. And the end result seems to be solid, and in a streamlined adaptation is the best you're going to do with that character. But the problem is, even in nailing that character, we're still stuck with the Void, is where I think that character, that's when we get into the convoluted area of, like, and he can just turn into this really just evil, just despot kind of thing, if things just for random reasons. Like, you know, he just has random depression powers that can manifest themselves. Has no correlation, no reason, no why. It's cool. It works as like an effective visual and everything. It comes out of flipping nowhere, but you know,
out of nowhere. I will disagree with you there, because here's the thing. What do we know?
Powered by 1,000 suns, right?
No. Because what do we know about the super? Because here's the thing. The Sentry, it's basically like it's building upon the super soldier serum, because that's what, like, the Sentry is utilized in the MCU, right? It's like his whole they're trying to build the next Avenger, and, like, obviously the serum he has is basically an extension of the super soldier serum.
It's kind of Extremis and the super soldier serum combined, with maybe some Thor godhood in there. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, but the main point is, I think back to the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, like, Baron Zemo's point is that you can't just give the serum, super serum, or anything like that to anyone. Because you just make, and Lamar's point when talking to John about taking the serum is like, well, it just makes you more of who you are.
Yeah.
And Bob was someone who had mental health issues, but so like more of what he is that he has like it's basically like a Jekyll and Hyde thing where but I don't get like what's so random about it. It's just
no. It's literally how he can manifest the ability to just like have pocket dimensions and everything. Like,
so I'll jump in here and say, like, I don't like the fact that we did not nerf him by the end of the movie.
Yeah,
and that he's like still on the team. I feel like that is almost kind of like it almost breaks the universe a little bit just because he's so overpowered.
Which is my other point, Tiki. Yes,
he's a glass cannon. Like I think there's more. Like just because he has these powers, like if anything, because of his mental illness, he can't really go full force and let the void come in. So I think there's a reason. I think that's in a way he is nerfed because of his mental illness. That's the kind of the damage of the century is that he's this all powerful big figure that can be limited or greatly, damaged by his mental illness. That's the whole point of the century. Just like Moon Knight is basically not basically, but he's Batman or street vigilante with mental health issues and the drama and angst that comes with it.
It seems to be the end. It seems to be more at the time. Just Marvel's kind of go-to is we're gonna have characters that are in the archetype of DC. We're gonna give them severe mental issues,
basically, yes.
And apparently kind of a split personality, but essentially,
I didn't. Dragon. This is a stupid question. Was the actor who played Bob? Is he the same guy that was in Wolves?
I mean, was Bill Pullman in? Oh wait, no, it was
Lewis.
Sorry, I meant Lewis. Yes, was Lewis Pullman in that movie?
Well, I because Wolves, there's that guy in the trailer that I remember you not caring for, the guy who like Brad Pitt and George Clooney.
That Wolves. Sorry, you keep saying Wolves. Every time you say that movie, I'm thinking of like actual wolves. I'm not thinking of like
Austin Abrams is the actor who plays the kid in the Wolves.
Okay, very similar kind of vibe with those actors.
That's funny you say that, Tiki, because so you all know how originally like Steven Yeun was like cast for.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So he was confirmed that he was supposed to be the Sentry,
yes,
right?
Yes,
interesting.
Like Robert Kirkman just spelled it out in an interview that he was doing a costume fitting for Sentry, and because of the strikes, he had to kind of back out the project. But when it's looking at Lewis Pullman's performance, it's like, oh, I can definitely see how Stevie Yeun would have played the Sentry the way he does. And what's funny about it is that when he dropped out of the project, there was rumors about who's okay. So allegedly, from the scoopers I've like seen, allegedly like Marvel offered the role to Dev Patel and Austin Abrams for Sentry after Stephen Yeun pulled out of the project. So it's kind of funny you mentioned Austin Abrams for Wolves. Like those.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, they do have a very similar vibe. I think, honestly.
Yeah, I think it's the hair that also kind of.
Yeah, it's totally the hair. Yeah. Kogios says Bill Pullman being in a Marvel film seems like it would be very funny. It's funny you mentioned that, Kogios.
Well, he is his dad, so it's an easy,
right.
Well,
honestly, like a couple nights ago, I just watched Lost Highway for the first time, so Bill Pullman is definitely on my mind. Anyway,
so with the Sentry, so again, Bob, he's tabula rasa, he's a blank slate, he's basically the sole survivor of the Sentry project, which is the upgraded version of like Extremis Super Soldier Serum, in kind of an attempt to make kind of a Captain Marvel level powerhouse, or Thor, what have you. That basically post Red Hulk has been deemed necessary to, like, if the president's turned to Red Hulk, we really need this project to be a go. And it's so dangerous that they would. It's so dangerous that they would take anyone here, and which of course would lead to like a guy with like the backstory that Bob has, the trauma that he's gone through, and apparently he was on meth, which that was an interesting aspect. I kind of like it said he was on meth when he was like flipping.
I was surprised how open they were about that in a Marvel movie.
So long as it's not cocaine.
Well, especially like in the climax, like I was on meth.
Well, because
kids.
like in the comics, the character Rob Reynolds was a meth addict that was like, trying to find his fix.
Well, yeah, I get that. It's just weird to see it in a PG-13 Disney.
No, I mean I like that they incorporated. They found a way to actually work it in there. I'm just saying this is just like with the building of the characters that they took this dangerous. They would take anyone, which is really just dangerous idea, which again compared to like the whole very careful selection, like a Steve Rogers or who else. It's just it we're ignoring flaws to
it's
pass
very
off.
Cecil Stedman coded.
Yeah, and it's like we're ignoring these flaws to pass off just like an Avengers rollout as soon as we can, which is just kind of like which Val's huge mistake there, and just like okay, he's alive, I can bend him to my whim, and I'll put him in the costume, I'll spin him, it'll work. So I really respect the framework of this take of the Sentry. Like in the beginning, again, everything up to the Void, I think that's where they sold me the most on the Sentry in terms of like the build up. And how we get him in the suit, and also, of course, so the Sentry's the big action scene with the Sentry, it's great. Problem, it's a one scene wonder that after that scene, Tiki's absolutely right. It breaks the world. The problem with the Sentry is a character, period, and we see it on display here. Is that the overpowered fight, while cool, afterwards you realize, oh man, it's like kids playing on the playground if they assign roles, okay? It's no fun to fight the Sentry because he's unbeatable, and it's just completely effortless for him.
Again, my main issue is that I kind of struggle to see how this isn't going to become like a plot issue in a later event. I don't know. I mean,
you're right. That's the thing.
I don't get why. Okay, guys, this is Dr. Doom we're talking about. Dr. Doom took power from like the Beyonder of all people, and I think Dr. Doom is not going to break too much of a sweat with the Sentry, especially the Sentry has mental health issues. I feel like the Sentry is going to be out of commit. Like it's going to be Bob, and then he's going to come in like Thor in Infinity War as Sentry, and then he turns to the Void, but it's still not enough to beat Dr. Doom because Dr. Doom is Dr. Doom. Like he's beating gods, or he got godlike power in the Secret Wars. So I think.
Even if that's the case, then it's the same issue on the other side of it. We keep making these guys insurmountable, and how do we keep? It's like one invincible powerhouse, and then there's the other invincible powerhouse. Where, for example, you have Thanos. Okay, Thanos can take out the Hulk without even using the stones. Okay. There's a challenge there. But again, then he has the Infinity Gauntlet. Okay, they added a flaw in the gauntlet, which was a really good idea. Like, okay, he needs to be able to close his hand, which is when we're taking the glove off, we're stopping him from closing his hand at all costs. Solution.
Well, because the thing is, the point of the movie is it's about mental health. So you can't, it's like, it wouldn't be satisfactory.
We're gonna have to do this all over again if we bring him in anywhere else again. We just gotta go through the whole, the Eternal Sunshine, the Spotless Mind climax all over again.
I mean, I think where we end up with Bob, I think he's on a path to be a little bit more mentally healthy. Not to say one can ever be 100% mentally healthy all the time.
He's not convinced. He's worried he's gonna turn to the Void again.
At least he's doing the dishes.
Yeah, that's helpful. Sure.
But I mean,
I will say that like if Bob just stuck around like in the background of the new Avengers movies, just as like a one-off gag every so often of like, hey guys, I'm here too, that would be funny. I would approve of that.
Oh, just with the Bob thing in general. Okay, so shortening his name to Bob was like the big marketing. A part of me, this is not it's not a problem with the movie at all. It's just my heart of hearts. It's like it's always a reminder with how popular the Bob thing's getting. It's like, yeah, man, that's all that Bob hype could have been given to Deadpool with like his Bob.
Oh, right.
I mean, look, I'm happy at least we worked in again. Had we renamed Peter to Bob,
if we really needed to develop one Marvel Bob, it should have been Hydra Bob.
Yeah, that's the Bob, and now we can never do that. I know it was a long look. I'm satisfied. At least we did have Bob show up in a cameo in the first Deadpool movie. At least we got him in, and Peter essentially is de facto Bob, but we can't.
Right. Yeah.
So at least look, I'm not look, there were at least we got him in there in some capacity, so that's fine. I'm just saying it's the constant reminder of like could have been the other Bob.
Oh God.
Every time I hear like all the fun Bob talk.
Hey, we have like how many Peters do we have? We have like 2 Peters, we can have 2 Bobs.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe. I guess. We have like 3 Peters in the MCU, and probably more. I don't know.
All right.
Let's see.
Any other corners we need to hit here?
Well, let's see. Okay, so yeah, well, maybe to put a bit of a finer point on Buck, just a little bit. So again, Bucky is the congressman. It's an idea that really fizzled out. He only had like 3 scenes of being a congressman between everything in the MCU, which really is like, what did he do in those 3 scenes? It's like one of them is just an engineered cameo.
I mean, realistically, as a congressman, half his time would be just going to fundraisers.
Yeah, it just seemed like kind of like a why bother sort of thing. I don't think I really appreciate like the sacrifice he made of like I love here's the in concept with him end up as in Congress is like as a wait he's a
congressman.
Yeah, it is congressman. Okay.
Yeah.
So the idea that Bucky is he's finally gotten his head on straight. He's gone through a lot. He's kind of forgiven himself for a lot of the past deeds, and he's moving forward. And he wants to do something that helps the world. It helps his home, helps Brooklyn in a non-violent way.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Like, putting him in this position, obviously he's got a lot of baggage there and a lot of doubts. I'm sure with we put the guy who essentially killed Kennedy, in Congress.
He was mind control,
but still, I mean, he killed Kennedy though.
He was mind control. What? Like, are you?
Well, no. I'm not saying we shouldn't forget. I'm just saying there are going to be a lot of doubts by the other suits in Congress. Like, oh my God, he killed Kennedy. We can't let this guy in.
I mean, considering a good portion of the U.S. government is found to be like Marvel Nazis, like a decade ago. I think the standards of what is acceptable in politics.
I just think it's interesting. That's all I'm saying. I just think it's just kind of a fun thing he's got a hump that he's got to get over there with that. Like, yeah, probably wasn't an easy election.
Hey man, with those looks, he's definitely getting.
He's a killer, all right. He's a lady killer.
Pow, 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 pow.
Yeah. But yeah, so Bucky, ultimately what we're doing, the reason Bucky's kind of in this movie is that we don't want, even though we've established Zemo, and in the comic Zemo, he founded the original version of the Thunderbolts. We went a different way with it, and Bucky does feel like the nice connective tissue in terms of he is like he's the again, in a sense, he's a failed hero because he's had the arc that has kind of brought him. He started off as a hero, and then obviously, he's basically the Darth Vader. He's kind of the Darth Vader of the MCU to a degree. Only if Darth Vader lived past his hero turn. I'm just saying, with the way we introduced him, he was very much like
after his hero's journey. Like if Luke Skywalker just took off the mask at the end of Return of the Jedi, and Darth Vader was just straight up hot.
Sure, Tiki, if that helps, yes.
Darth Hottie here.
Okay, but you see my point though. It's like he's very much like he's kind of the professional of the group, and I love that with him. So him and Red Guardian, it's a fun dynamic we built up. That in what if there was like a rivalry there of basically he's like, you're not even a real Russian, but there's a respect and there was kind of like a friendship in that offshoot. But here in the actual MCU, what we're getting is that Red Guardian, he deeply wanted to meet the real Captain America, which is an opportunity he's most likely never had and probably won't get until maybe who knows Secret Wars. But
I would be fucking shocked if Chris Evans was not back for Secret Wars, frankly.
Yeah. Anyway, the
what's just to go on, just to continue with the Bucky Barnes Congress thing. What's the over under of how many jokes have been made when he was running for Congress about him being the next Manchurian candidate?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. It was probably not an easy election. They're throwing all those jokes at him, even beyond like the whole the reality. Like, well, wait a minute, he killed Kennedy.
I mean, but he did save half the universe, and then at the Battle at Avengers Compound.
It was like one of a million heroes there during that day, but yes.
And he also stopped a terrorist plot.
That's true.
America,
that's true.
Honestly, getting endorsed by Captain America is probably what sealed the deal for him when he did.
It's kind of terrorist in quotes, though, but yeah. I'm saying they were terrorists. I'm just saying with the whole way that season ended, it was like, are they terrorists? I don't know, but no, they were. Anyway, I just love that like he had like the bit of hero worship with Red Guardian and Bucky, where basically they are very much like Bucky's like taking things. See, it's a good straight man comedian kind of dynamic there, and that he's very much like the more serious version of what Red Guardian is, but he's still like the boundless optimism and hero worship. Like you achieved it, and it's the commonality of we were both what's your super soldier? Hydra. Yes, the Russian, the real stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That was cute. I wasn't super crazy. I mean, it was okay. I wasn't super crazy about the plot line of like I'm sure Rohit loved this, but the plot line of him charming Mel, like the assistant of Val. How do you feel about the whole? I think technically she's supposed to be like was it Songbird in the
that's the implication. Yeah.
Yeah. Which again, it's completely felt like there's no.
I thought she had like a decent enough arc. I kind of feel like you could have cut her out of the movie, but I feel like she did. I feel like her main role was to kind of connect Bucky to everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And considering the fact that it was actually going to be Aya in that role, it's like she definitely like the way Geraldine Wishmanathan plays that role. It's definitely has that similar energy as like Aya Nubiri.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when we do the Void, like we see the Void uses depression powers to put everyone in kind of like the void of their own, the Eternal Sunshine sequence, I like to call it.
That people are calling it being John Malkovich. I think both are pretty accurate.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's kind of John Malkovich. I didn't think about that. Okay. Regardless, so did you guys want to see more of I kind of see from a pacing standpoint why we didn't see everyone's room. So by the same token, given that we set up like we didn't see this is where I feel we kind of shortchanged Ghost because we didn't see what hers would have been. But then again, you can't really touch Ghost because the phasing. So we only see Yelena's and Bob's like kind of.
Well, I mean, given the fact that, like, obviously Yelena's the main character, and like Bob is kind of like the MacGuffin. I kind of feel like that's all we need. Like, I don't know. Like, as a team movie, yes, it would have maybe been nice to have more. I personally, I would have liked to see Red Guardian's room.
I know, me too. But I mean, I get why we don't need it, but it would have been cool. That thing would have been cool. I think. I don't know.
I think it really does just come down to a pacing thing.
Yeah. Like, for example, like reducing Bucky's to a gag, that works because we already know what issues Bucky has. Like him just saying
that was a really funny gag. I think.
Oh no, I'm all good. It was nothing but sunshine and rainbows. That's great.
Oh yeah, mine was great.
I appreciated at the end that like Bob was wearing his like Sentry colors and like his civilian clothing.
Yeah,
that was a nice like Power Rangers color and code right there.
Yeah.
Also, and man, if we have just two superheroes, if I had to count on one hand the amount of superhero who has mental health issues because of domestic abuse, I would have two nickels or yeah.
Yes.
Yep. So Moon Knight and the Sentry would get along famously. Let's just say that.
I mean, I honestly,
everyone wants Moon Knight to show up in Daredevil.
Moon Knight
I'm not
is one of
against
those
that.
Characters where it's like I would actually kind of be surprised if we frankly ever saw him again.
I mean,
if Marvel, I bet why Moon Knight season 2 is in things because they offered to Oscar Isaac the same deal that they offered Jeremy Renner, and that's my speculation. But if and when Oscar Isaac comes back, it would be cool for him to interact with like anyone in the MCU, especially a character that just it would be inappropriate but just fun to see the reaction of. Like, imagine like the most fucked up version of the Moon Knight, like Jake Lockley interacting with Miss Marvel, just the the black comedy of it all. But
God. All right, anyway. So again, we already kind of talked about the Val twist in which she basically spins the Thunderbolts to save her skin with the New Avengers, which again, they're obviously. Let me ask you this. She had a press conference set up and everything, so she very much was like she was dangling herself as bait for them all to go there and just basically be on the podium, right? Like that's not just like
that's what I read it as, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. The part of me wonders is a contingency or she actually just he's probably she
I read it as she was basically pulling the strings the whole time.
Yeah,
for the most part. Yeah.
So let's see. So it's an inspired idea for sure. Just in kind of doing that reveal and is building it to that ending. So we already kind of talked about the post credit scene, but I guess we should probably talk about it a little more. Before we do, though, I love the simple victory of Red Guardian got his Wheaties box.
Yes, and I do like how that ties into the marketing because honestly, I was wondering if the Wheaties box was going to be like an in-universe thing or if it was just a cool like marketing like visual. So I respected the Wheaties thing.
Yeah, I just love. I forget. Rohit, do you remember if was the Wheaties box only brought up in this movie? Or did they bring it up in What If as well by chance?
They didn't bring it up in What If.
Okay, I was just wondering about that, but anyway. But yeah, it's just kind of a nice way. Just kind of that's the way he equates fame, and then we just have this hilarious thing. It was like like he's also shaved the beards. Of course, he's not going to recognize him. Anyway, yeah, I love our end credits period, but this feels very Jake Schreier to me. I don't know, in terms of style. Well, we have like all the fun like promotional like the magazines and everything that are basically trying to sell the heck. Val putting the marketing machine behind the new Avengers with all the magazine covers and everything.
Totally, yeah.
Which is great. So 15 months later, John Walker. What?
It's 14 months later.
Really? 14, not 15?
Yes, it explicitly says 14 months later.
Okay, fine. 14 months later. John Walker still got a taco because if he had that extra month, it would have been fine. 14 months later, he still got that taco shield. He's got his fancy hat, which is nice. And, we...
I hope with the taco shield, by the way, is like... I kind of buy that, like, that Sentry, like, the damage that Sentry did to it essentially cannot be undone. I buy that.
Yeah.
I just don't buy that they wouldn't have replaced the shield in the meantime.
I mean, what do you mean can't be undone?
Because you wouldn't have the fun image of him riding it like a horse saddle.
All right, fair enough.
I understand the practical reasons why the Sentry can't unbend it himself, but again, 3 super soldiers. All right, come on.
I don't know what to tell you, man. That guy, like when we did see Sentry in action, I think he was pretty much the most powerful thing that we've ever seen in the MCU, bar none. So.
Okay, but you're right though. Even so, he could have easily got Val to foot the bill for a replacement. It's very,
Yeah.
Plus, he made a makeshift shield at the end.
No, Job has like a constant ask every week in a meeting. It's like, hey, Val, what do you replace the shield? And Val's like, yeah, of course, we'll get it. It's busy. And that's a running gag. Where
he turned all of his medals into a makeshift shield in Falcon and Winter Soldier. I think he could at least afford something. Anyway,
he put his energy towards getting the beret.
So it's just John Walker walking into like a hat store of some kind. Just what? I don't know what to pick. Do I put on that cowboy hat so I can ride the stupid shield like a saddle? I don't know. Anyway, so I love the idea that Sam Wilson is suing them over the name, which I'd like to think Daredevil or She-Hulk is helping him with that lawsuit.
Oh, that's a perfect way to get Matt Murdock into that cast.
It would make me. It'd be too easy to make it Matt Murdock, which is
it's more likely She-Hulk because she has experience with like patent infringement with her.
That's the thing. It's my heart of hearts. I would love it to be Matt Murdock, but God doesn't like me enough to make it Matt Murdock, so it's going to be She-Hulk.
Yeah, well, you make it seem like She-Hulk is like downgrade.
No, I like She-Hulk, and Robert, I fully back you that I'm just saying in general, it's to put Daredevil back in a movie.
Also,
in a big role.
Like does Daredevil have experience with patent infringement? Don't you want a lawyer's experience in the issue? And also, wouldn't Sam Wilson
more? I'm saying that Daredevil doesn't have experience in patents and copyrights. I mean, he was there for the Lou Jacobson case, so he has experience in it. But I'm with you. She-Hulk makes the most sense, and plus, look, admittedly, the bigger deal is to get She-Hulk in the big screen because right now it's a big question of if they put her in kind of like MCU jail because the show didn't do great. That would be the more prudent victory. I understand we get to be more important.
And also, what is Daredevil going to do? What is Daredevil going to do when Dr. Doom comes to the picture? He can't. There's only so many hallway fights, Dragon. You can't hallway fight a bunch of Doom bots, or whatever.
Yeah, you could fight Doombots. What are you talking about? Why couldn't he fight Doombots?
What do you mean he could fight?
Why?
Matt Murdock
Have
is
you not seen any of these Ultimate Alliance games or anything? They're always fighting hordes of Doombots.
Dragon, you're telling me Matt Murdock that gets beat up by
You do realize Hawkeye fought like vibranium Ultrons, right? Hawkeye.
Yeah, because he had like special weapons that could take down
arrows. He had arrows.
All right, guys. We're at the end of the podcast. I don't want to make it a repeat of last time.
Okay, the point being, in the
mention like 15 minutes at the very end of the movie.
All right, okay. Tiki's getting drowsy. Regardless, so the point being, what we do have at the end here is the Fantastic Four show. Presumably, that is going to be the 14 months from whatever now is. Fantastic Four, at the end of their movie, presumably they will, or post-credit scene, whatever's going to happen in the Fantastic Four movie, they will, I suspect, they will leave a doomed universe and they will be entering the MCU proper. And that this is their entry point into the MCU. That's what a lot of the big theory right now is that Galactus might win in the Fantastic Four movie. That's their exodus into the other.
What if the Fantastic Four wins, and then it's just kind of the family just go on vacation, and it's like, here's
possible
the universe.
I don't know. I kind of like the love potion number 9 theory, though.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that's about it. I think we kind of covered the broad scope spectrum of it. I think we got it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right, let's thank the folks.
Gentlemen. And oh Jesus Christ, we have all right. I'll humor you, guy, but like I don't know what your deal is. Like spamming the chat. Sean Baig. I hope I'm saying that right. Says just
don't need the word saying right. It's clearly a robot.
That's true. It is clearly probably a bot.
It has infected the comment section.
All right, we better get out of here before he starts saying stuff that's like really inappropriate.
Okay, regardless, the Thunderbolts, good. A little iffy on the Sentry stuff, but good movie. And then Jake Schreier, kudos to them directing, and hopefully he'll be back to direct more. We'll move on to other really cool projects. I mean, Jake Schreier, I think he did right by this. I'm glad that people are liking it, even if I'm a little iffy on a thing or two. But again, it's just a thing or two, and that's just one guy's opinion. So this is good.
All right, Rohit.
It's some of the best work done in Marvel since, the highlights of the Infinity Saga. I think this movie, in terms of the writing, in terms of the acting, in terms of everything, it worked so well, and it doesn't go big. It just goes intimate and personal, and I hope, more movies take inspiration from that style rather than just go for, interesting market reveal. That's what I hope for people to take away from this movie.
Okay. I think I'm kind of right in the middle. I think I like it a little bit more than Dragon does, although I know Dragon doesn't dislike it at all. I think I love it a little less than Rohit does. I think it's very solid though. I think the cast dynamic worked really, really well. The pacing was great. I love how small scale of a movie this was, in spite of Sentry kind of blowing up the universe a little bit, both figuratively and metaphorically. But yeah, I had a really good time with it. I will say, I think the whole this is Marvel's A24 movie. I think that's a little I don't see any A24 here. I think that was just marketing for the most part, but still, very, very good time. A much needed victory for the MCU. And honestly, this is the first thing that's actually gotten me excited about getting another Avengers movie. So yeah, we'll see where we go in the future.
Readerman 19's comment.
Yeah. Marvel's been on a roll. First Deadpool, then Daredevil, now this.
Indeed. Yeah. Okay.
We're not going to talk about Brave New World, but Brave New World was fine.
Tiki, let's just accentuate the positive.
Fair enough. Okay. So, we would like to thank Code, Gios, Teddy, a very brief appearance by Little Blue, the unforgettable John Kelling, and Readerman 1, and Sean Baig, I guess, if you're somehow not a robot.
It's Ultron.
You guys are all awesome. This has been fun. We will see you all later. Have a good one.